All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of PEPTalk, Productive Environment Podcast. I have to say that I think this is one of our most popular, highly requested topics. And I have been in several of our group meetings over the last couple of weeks. Ed, you can fade the music out now, please. Thank you. Over the last couple of weeks, and these questions keep coming up. And then I always say, well, you need to talk to Liz. You need to talk to Liz. And so now we've got Liz here. So we're all going to talk to Liz. And I'm super excited about this topic. So I'll introduce her in just a second. But just to kind of set the stage, have you ever looked around and you're looking at your clutter? Some of you are already ready to make changes in your life and declutter. Some of you are in the midst of it. Some of you are thinking about doing it and you're just not sure where to start. That's something we can help you with. But then others you're finding things either in your own home or you're doing a clean out of a parent's home potentially, and you're finding things that you're wondering, is this worth something? Is this valuable? And you just don't know. You don't know where to go look. I wouldn't know where to go look. And so then let's say you find out it's valuable, and then how do you sell it? Like I see people doing Facebook Marketplace and all kinds of other things. And I don't want anybody coming to my house. So I don't want to put something out there to say, hey, do you want to buy this? Come to my house. So I'm just like you guys listening. I have a zillion questions for Liz, as I'm sure you do. So let me just say this. If you are joining us, wherever you're joining us from, please feel free to enter questions or comments in the chat wherever you are. We're on YouTube, we are on LinkedIn, and we are on Facebook. So wherever you are, please enter a comment or question in the chat so we can, and I'll try to pay attention to that so I can get to you, but we've got a lot to cover. First of all, PEPTalk Productive Environment Podcast. I'm Andrea Anderson. I'm the CEO of Productive Environment Institute, and I am in Carolina Beach, North Carolina, and I'm joined by Liz, who is also in North Carolina. Liz, I'll let you tell them where you are.
Yes, I'm Liz Fackelman, owner of Davidson Organizing in the college town of Davidson in North Carolina.
Awesome. And that's near Charlotte, right?
It's just north of Charlotte.
Just north of Charlotte. Okay, guys, so we're here together, both of us in North Carolina, and we are excited to kick this off. So Eds, if you will remove that image, I'm not seeing it on my back end. Thank you. Eds, you guys know Eds is in the background, so she's the queen behind the scenes. So Liz, I have a zillion questions for you, but I'm going to let you kick off. You actually just told me that you just came from talking about this to people this morning about the same topic. So whatever you want to share about that or wherever you want to start, let's just dive in.
Yeah, as you know, Andrea, I've been working with overwhelmed women, helping them with their home and office to declutter and get organized. I started my organizing business in 2013. I partnered and joined, got certified through the Productive Environment Institute in 2021. And the one word I hear all the time is overwhelmed. So I say, I help overwhelmed women. That's what I do in all sorts of ways. And my clients are smart, capable women, but they're facing too many decisions, too much stuff, and not enough clarity about even where to begin. So my story starts in 2017 with the Collectibles Advising because I became that overwhelmed woman myself. I knew how to help my mother with her piles of paper. I knew how to help her with her organizing. I knew how to downsize her to assisted living. What I didn't know what to do was with all her stuff. I'd gotten the call from her friend that she'd been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I needed to be the bad guy and move her into assisted living against her will. It was very challenging emotionally. It's not just overwhelming a lifetime of all her possessions that I had to sell and deal with, but it was the emotions, the family dynamics going on that was also overwhelming. So I experienced the challenge firsthand as a daughter. And then in 2020, when none of us could work in person, so at that time, I was only doing in-person organizing for homes and offices. I now, through Productive Environment Institute, do virtual, but back then I didn't have that option. And I jumped at the chance to get training as a Collectibles Advisor. And so in 2020, the Keys Guild was just starting out, and I was a founding member and got my training in collectibles. And I am an advocate for my clients. I'm not beholden to any way of selling things. I don't have any company affiliations that I have to use. And so I really care about my clients and helping them to not only just declutter, but sell things that are worth something, and help them monetize the things that they are ready to let go. So now I help overwhelmed families and individuals to have confidence to know when they can keep things, when they can donate them, what to sell, and most importantly, where to sell it. And I also help people navigate that challenge, the practical and emotional challenges of downsizing. So I mean, over the time, I've become a very trusted resource in my community, and I've even been able to help people all across the country. And I'm especially my specialty, and we'll talk about that maybe a little later, is fine jewelry, sterling silver, and coins. But I do help people with every imaginable category of collectibles.
That's so fascinating. So just to recap and clarify for me, you, of course, I know you also do the traditional things that we at PEI do. We help people with their paper, with their digital, with their email, things like that. And it's all about decision making. And you've just carried this further to deal with collectibles because you were seeing that come up a lot. And you're a great resource for our other certified productive environment specialists also. Because I think I think you're the only certified collectibles advisor. I never even knew that existed until I met you. So that's really, really cool. Let me share a couple of comments here. We've got Maureen from Bellevue, Washington. Great topic. And Maureen was on just a couple weeks ago. We were talking about end of life planning and things like that. And so you guys go hand in hand for sure. And then Carrie Thomas is one of our specialists. And she said, hello, ladies. She lives in Florida now. I don't know if she's there now, but because she travels a lot. And then Kathy Music, you guys know New Path Productivity, such a fantastic value add you provide, Liz. Yeah. And I'm hoping, people listening are SOAR members for sure. But also I'm hoping that some of our certified productive environment specialists who don't know that you do this or haven't really been familiar, I'm hoping that they realize, oh, wow, I could tag team with Liz and I can, bring her in on some of my projects. And Nancy says, thank you, Liz. Good morning. Awesome. Hey, Nancy. And then we've got Amy. Awesome. Amy's listening too. So great. I'm so glad you guys are all here. That's fantastic. All right. And one more, Sandy, this is a topic I really need. Awesome. So these are SOAR members popping in here as well. So thank you guys for commenting. Okay, Liz. So, as you know, Productive Environment Institute teaches a 5-step process for creating productive environments. And you have implemented that in what you do. I mean, we do it with paper, we do it with email, we do it with other things as well. So how do you do that with people who are dealing with inherited items, collectibles, downsizing, or just clearing out an estate, like big picture?
Yeah, can you pop up so everybody knows what we're talking about? Yeah, the 5-step process. Perfect. It is so imperative that you state your vision, that you know what the goal is, and you even identify when you have competing goals. You have to identify those obstacles. I mentioned previously emotional obstacles. There can be, the sentimental factor in why we're keeping things, and then there's also the obstacle of family dynamics. And then most people don't know, what is valuable, what isn't. In my case, with my mother with dementia, she was at a point with the dementia that she really couldn't tell me what was valuable, what wasn't. She told me that all her trophies were valuable. And if everything is valuable, then really nothing is. We need some clarity. So some obstacles there. You need to commit your resources and even know what resources are available. If family members can help, we need to factor that in. And if they're really helpful at it. If somebody wants to sell something, if you have a family member that will list things on Facebook Marketplace, all that furniture that's hard to sell, go for it. That's a resource. So we want to know what the resources are. We want to commit them. If there's a lot of planning and that's something that I can bring that clarity into the plan as to where we're going to sell which types of items. I don't use a one-stop shop, although that can be an option. And then the sustaining your success is also, we want people to be very comfortable with the decisions they have already made. And then we want them to reduce the burdens for the future generations. So I use a triangle, as if you can pop up the triangle. I use this triangle that's borrowed from business product development to help bring clarity and get people to flesh out that 5-step process and what is needed. So my background is computer engineering. I have an electrical engineering degree from Duke. And when I would design products, we would tell the customer, you can have that product quickly. You can have that product high quality, meaning it meets every single one of your specifications, or you can have that product cheap. You can't have all. If you want it cheap, we're going to have to cut out some of these specifications. It won't have all these features, or we may take a long time to build it. So I have clients that come to me and they say, I want to sell everything quickly. I want to make the most amount of money, and I don't have any of my own time. Well, those are almost conflicting expectations. And so we really need to flesh out. If you have a lot of time to sell something and you have some time on your own hands to do it, you may make more profit because you're not paying me or anybody else commissions. So an example would be I inherited 2 mahogany Empire style tables from my great-grandparents. It took over a year to sell them each. They were a pair, 500 each, to a legitimate buyer, not a scammer. So I had lots of time on my hands. I had a place to store them. I eventually replaced them with other tables, but they were served, they were a table. So that is on one side. Most people who come to me don't have time and they need me to help out. They're willing to give up a little bit on their price expectations. And often there is a deadline, not always, but I have to factor that in. There is a time when I can do it all. I can make you more money than you can make on your own. I can sell the items quickly. In some cases, I pay within 2 days of receiving the items. And you don't have to spend any of your own effort. I'll do it all for you. And those 3 categories we'll talk about, I'm sure, later, but is fine jewelry, sterling silver, and coins. And the reason those are top categories for me is, and why I can pay people more than they can get on their own, is because I'm tied into a network of wholesale buyers and even refineries that the general public doesn't have access to. And I take smaller commissions than stores do because I work from home and don't have the overhead. So this triangle really helps bring clarity to what the goals are. We can then come back and say, okay, we know what the vision is. We've identified the obstacles. And now, we can come up with a plan and use the resources that we can come up with. So getting clarity is imperative when I'm working with clients.
That's amazing. So when you say working with clients, when somebody first finds you or connects with you, what is the first thing you do? I assume you do a call or a Zoom or something, right? How does that work?
I do connect. I can connect over Zoom or over a phone call. We have an introductory call. They use that word, overwhelmed. I don't mind people sharing some photos and giving me an idea. Generally, it's a triage. I am looking for what I call the top 10 hidden treasures. I'm looking for the things that initially, thank you, Ed. Initially, these are what at the Keys Guild we call the top 10 hidden treasures. Hey, audience, you don't have to take notes. You'll be able to go to my website on my resource page. I have a download that gives these. But I'm just going to hit the fine jewelry and sterling silver and old coins that I've mentioned is my top 3 categories, but also watches we need to pay attention to, especially certain brands like Rolex. Anything Tiffany, we need to pause and say, ooh, this might have some value. I sold 4 Tiffany plates for $2,500 on eBay. And I was quoted in Southern Living earlier this year. We're in 2026. I think it was January. Quoted about Tiffany in Southern Living. Vintage stereo systems, musical instruments. We just want to look. These are the items we want to triage. Mid-century modern furniture. Of all the furniture out there, that's the one that tends to have a little bit more value. Trading cards have to be in mint condition and they have to be rare. So that means 70s and earlier for baseball cards, 70s and early for comic books. Designer fashion, most of us know designer fashion. But if you've inherited items, you may not. The clothing, your mom has passed away and you're going through her clothing. An Hermes purse from the 50s that looks like something Jackie Kennedy would have carried. I'm selling one of those on eBay. So those are places we want to try to look at these and focus so that we're not overwhelmed over everything. Original art is rare that has value, but it has to be original. It can't be mass produced. So this is my top 10 categories. This is where we start. And that helps take some of the overwhelm down, because these are the places where we typically can find some treasures. And in that, I have I'm selling those 2 Tiffany bracelets right now on eBay. In the middle is a piece silver dollar. It is 90% silver. And then a whole flatware set. Those can go from anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 for a sterling silver flatware set. So some examples of items that I'm working with clients on selling. So thanks for asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps.
Yeah. I want to share Kathy's comment. She said the fact that you can remove the burden of managing the sale is a huge relief. Amen to that. Like, just especially when it's kind of an end of life thing or estate thing. I mean, there's so many other things going on there emotionally and all of that. So for you to be able to have a conversation with somebody and help them kind of you're triaging and asking questions and helping bring, like you said, bring clarity, is a tremendous value. I just keep thinking about, you just listed those 10, and there's a lot of people, I wonder, I think, that have a lot of clutter. A lot of our clients have clutter, and that's why they're here. They're with us to help declutter. I wonder how many of them are holding on to things because they think it might be valuable, and they've been holding it onto it for years and years and years because it might be worth something. So that's what you experience with your clients? Yeah.
Yeah, because people know what they paid for it. They know that these figurines, they spent $50 on it. That china that they got for their wedding, they know people paid maybe $115 for a place setting back in the 80s. Well, imagine how much it must be worth now. No, those china is going for 50 cents to $3 a piece.
Are you serious?
Crystal going for 50 cents to $3 a piece. People are not setting formal dining tables. There are people who do for magazines or whatever, they'll do tablescapes, but they're only willing to pay $3 a piece. They're not willing to pay what people think something is worth. So china and crystal are 2 of my top categories of things that do not hold value. And even think about the effort it takes to ship them. I spent hours helping a friend ship her Wedgwood china to an auction, and I had to have all the boxes and shipping materials, and it bid up. It was 76 pieces, beautiful Wedgwood china, and it bid up to $230.
Wow.
It was so sad, but I see it over and over and over again. Books, even first edition books, I'm starting to see come down in price. Silver plated items, if it's not sterling, if it's just plated silver, it's very low value. I'm going to share, this is a trophy that's sterling silver from my great grandparents. It's $900.
Wow.
This is a trophy my mom won. It is plated. I maybe could get $6 from a refinery for the silver content. It's bigger than the other one.
It's bigger. See, a regular, normal person, myself included, would not know that.
Yeah, and that's even if the refinery will accept silver plated. Right now, the refineries are not accepting it. They in the last few months have stopped accepting it. So this spoon is $200 if it's sterling. $2. It's like whatever somebody will pay for us if it's plated. It's a donate. So that silver plated is very low value. I've had entire tea sets go for $8 in auctions. Most dolls, unfortunately, Tony. One of our dolls.
Ed, show the dolls. Yeah. So Tony, one of our specialists, sent in some questions for Liz and some pictures of some dolls. I believe at her Tony's mother's home. And I zeroed in on a couple, and one of them I was like, oh, it's selling for $19 on eBay with shipping, with free shipping. Wow.
And I thought, oh, it's a pretty little doll, but no. We did identify some on it that we might want to look into, but it's rarity is what we're looking for. And these, in general, a lot of these collections are not rare enough to command. And the other thing with this is the supply and demand. Collectors the younger generation isn't collecting. The older generation may value china and crystal, but they're not collecting either because they already have their own. So the younger generation is not buying these items, and the market is flooded as these people are passing away or downsizing. So the most figurines, the dolls, large brown furniture, common framed prints, mass-produced anything. It's not rare and not in great condition.
Yeah, that's Kathy commented here too. Generational preferences shift. That's right. Was what you were just describing. And what was considered a treasure in the past may no longer hold that same value now. Yeah, you're spot on. Wow. So you covered like what people think they have that they think might be valuable, and so maybe they're sitting there right now going, "Oh no, I thought maybe now is a good time to start decluttering that, or have a conversation with Liz first." But what about things that they may have that they might think aren't valuable but are? Do you have any of those?
Well, that goes back to your 10 top categories. That's going to be those are the things people don't realize have as high as value as they'd want. So the things what drives it from a donate to a valuable is rarity.
Okay.
It has to be rare there, and then it has to be desirable. Like there has to be some demand for it. Someone asked about electronics in our SOAR program, and they become valuable when they're rare, historically important, and in excellent condition. They also usually need to have all their parts and their original packaging. So a sealed vintage gaming system all day long, can have value. If it's in poor condition, missing parts, no, that's a trash.
Or out of the package, like the package is open, right?
It just depends. Is there demand for it? And old Apple products are a great example of something that has historical value. So it's the rarity, it's that condition. I mean, I've seen comic book collections from the 60s and 70s that could have been very valuable, but they were stored in a garage and were damaged, and there went the value. That is a toss. That's the same with sporting cards. I've seen them damaged, and that the fact that they're damaged really brings down the value.
So in those cases, would it make sense just taking the money out of it? Like, okay, I'm probably not going to get anything for that. Would you toss them like in the garbage, or would you donate them to like Goodwill or something? Does anybody want them?
Yeah. So that's a great question, because it brings up in that triage that we have to do. We also at the very beginning and state your vision and kind of figuring out the whole story. I need to know, is this downsizing effort a candidate for an estate sale or a tag sale? It's called an estate sale when the client has passed away. It's called a tag sale when they are alive. There's another alternative, which I prefer, which is auction. It's an online auction. It's where we auction off the entire contents of the home. I come in and photograph and create titles and descriptions. People bid online, and then they schedule a Saturday pickup to pick up those who win the bids. It's a way to clear out everything. And in these cases, if the client is a candidate for one of these sales, you actually don't want to donate off all the good stuff. The $20, even the $20 donate stuff, you would actually include it in the sale.
Could you?
Because it brings up your overall volumes. In order to have one of these sales, depending on your market, you may need $5,000 worth of sellable stuff. In my market, the tag sale companies want $15,000 in sellable stuff. So you don't want to get rid of all the volume of stuff. So in some cases, I've had people just box up what they don't want and store it in a secondary closet. I know this sounds counterproductive to tell people to keep stuff, but it fits the overall solution of, okay, we've talked with a tag sale, or we've talked with an auction company. Okay. I'm partnering with Max Sold to do them, but if somebody wants to do it themselves, they can reach out to Max Sold and do it themselves and sell the entire contents of the house using the Max Sold auction platform.
Wow.
And so in these cases, we do want everything that's not trash. Because it all can be sold, and it does bring the overall volumes up and help somebody be a candidate. And these tag sales or auctions are a good way to clear out the contents of these hard to sell items, such as furniture, crystal, and china. You may not get a lot, but at least it gets it out of the house and the house is cleared, when that is the overall goal.
What I'm hearing is if you're considering this or you think you have some things valuable, is to have a conversation with Liz before you do anything else. Because I would have thought like, oh, I'll just go ahead and get rid of some things here and some things here on my own and then do the big stuff with Liz. But you're saying do it all in one swoop potentially could bring you in more money and an easier process.
It goes back to that 5-step process. We need to think through, what's your vision? What are the obstacles? What's that? We need to come up with a plan. We have to know what resources we're going to use.
That's right.
I've got to just jump in.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's really good. Couple things here. Carolyn would like to know, what about natural dyed Turkish rugs? You know anything about those, Liz?
Yes, of course. Rugs and art, people care about whether it will fit in their space, whether it's the right color. Is it look the way, do they like how it looks? They don't care as much about where it's from, all those details. So, special stuff from different countries. Yes, sometimes it matters, but at least in my experience, it's pretty rare. That's why rugs didn't show up on my top 10 because it actually shows up on my website. I have a download resource and it shows up on the bottom 10, the things that typically don't, because it's not the place I start. Having said that, if you've had it appraised for $10,000, yeah, let's look at it.
Yeah, okay.
You have to have some reason to think this thing is valuable from that standpoint. And it's kind of my job to decide which selling channel is best for you. It's kind of my secret sauce. It's kind of what I get compensated for. It's rather than just one-stop, selling everything through one place. I try to figure out, not only what it's worth, but what will it realistically net somebody after the shipping we do, the time, the commissions, and kind of figure out who can sell this for the most amount of money. I have an antique roadshow expert that will respond to me pretty quickly when I send photos. And, he told me that this rare photo of Elvis, it was a one of a kind, never shot from this angle. He told me it's worth $900 to $1,000. He told me exactly which auction was the best for that piece. So it's kind of my job to figure out where we're going to sell these items and how I can make people the most amount of money.
That's fascinating. Wow. Okay. So let's talk briefly about some emotional stuff. Maureen has a question here. How do we approach our parents who think everything is valuable as we help them downsize? Because you're talking about money and how much and value and this and that, but you also know that the emotions come up. So when you're helping someone else, how do you handle that?
Yeah. Carefully. Because some people will respond to facts and some will not respond to facts. I mean, we can show them all day long. This is, a similar item is selling for X amount on, let's say, Facebook Marketplace. Your table is worth, $50 is what people are paying for these things. But it is an emotional thing. And for our parents, it's challenging. I myself did have some outside help. And I think that is why people bring me into is because I am an outside resource and there's not the emotional connection. So I do think having somebody outside of the family be the bad guy can be helpful. And then also I think reframing it. In many cases, when they sell the home, if they own the home, when they sell the home, they are going to make so much more money. They may have bought it for a fraction of the price. Let's say they bought a home for $30,000 and it's now worth $600,000. Their contents of their home, they may have paid $40,000 for them and now they're worth $5,000. We just reframe it that, well, at least you're going to make money on the sale of the house, even though the contents itself are not as much as you paid for them.
Right.
So trying to come up with the positives also about if they're downsizing, about all the benefits of where they're going to, the simpler life, the less clutter, they'll have more clarity. It's a conversation, but really trying to understand realistic valuations. Sometimes people will search on eBay and they'll see that doll is listed at $1,000. Well, that gets my attention. But just because somebody asks for $1,000 for that doll doesn't mean it's going to sell for
Mhm.
that. I always go into eBay, or Live Auctioneers is another resource. They're all free. You don't have to enter your credit card. And then I look at sold on eBay or price results on Live Auctioneer, and I look at what things people actually paid for something.
Mm.
And that gives me more realistic valuations. Appraisals tend to be 4 times what something is worth. This is a rule of thumb. It's not always that
Mhm.
way, but um,
Yeah.
you need realistic based on current market conditions. And yeah, those are challenging conversations to have.
Yeah, and that's where you come in. I definitely, if you and Maureen haven't talked, I think the two of you should talk, because she's an end of life doula, and families bring her in as they're making all these plans and doing things. So that's you guys are a good connection. Kathy says, you're such a wealth of information, Liz. I could listen to you all day about this topic. So yeah, absolutely. And I know we have a zillion more things to talk about, and we're getting close to the end of our time. So what specific things do you want to make sure that you include and share with the group? I do have one more quick question before you do that part. I was curious about like how you charge for this. Do people pay commission? Do they pay hourly? Like, how does that work? You don't have to say numbers, but just kind of the structure
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. So it's a conversation. We generally start with a phone conversation, which is complimentary, usually 15, 20 minutes complimentary. If we start going after that, we're starting to get into
Right.
actually consulting versus evaluating. Is this are we going to work together?
Mhm.
And I oftentimes am completely compensated for my time by the commissions that I make, especially in the case of coins, sterling silver, and fine and gold and jewelry. Especially if I'm taking something to the refinery, if it's damaged gold, all day long, my commissions pay for my time and cover that completely. So my clients aren't paying me, I'm paying them, and I'm paying them more than they can get on their own. I had a
Mm.
client that took her jewelry collection to 2 jewelry stores. One offered 6,000, one offered 7,041. I paid 9,300 some dollars. That's a big delta. And I got compensated for my time from
From that
and
commission.
paid her. When I'm sending things to auction houses, the auction houses send me a little, referral fee. It doesn't come out of what I pay my clients. So,
Mhm.
but if I'm consulting and creating a whole plan, certainly if I'm running an auction, there's time involved, hours, and so that it is an hourly rate. And you don't want to generally come to me with a whole household of pictures of stuff, unless you're willing to pay for me to sort through it. I do use AI tools to kind of navigate and really triage everything, and like the doll collection, figure out, okay, which dolls are we going to focus on? I've done it for record album collections where I used AI tools to help me really figure out, okay, which of the 40 record albums are we going to look at closer, and go from there. So it really just depends on the situation, what the needs are, and it's
Mhm.
generally we just talk over it in the initial conversation and figure out what makes sense for the individual and the family.
That's great. Ed, could you put up Liz's website? Is that the best place for them to go to find you and
It
connect
is,
with
and there
you?
are 3 sections. There are a lot of sections on my website, but let me talk about a couple that are
Yeah.
pertinent. On the resource page is the free download of the hidden treasures, what make money from things in your home, and that's a free download. The other page is my office page, which is where I have the scorecard for Productive Environment Institute, where people can evaluate how conducive to productivity is their office environment, whether it's an office that they work at or their home office or just their
Mhm.
life. And so people can answer that scorecard however they want in terms of what space they want to use. But it's very focused on productivity. And so that's a great way to connect with me, and we can set up a call after I get that scorecard. And then on the Collectibles Advising page, a little bit more about Collectibles Advising. There's a dead link right there. I just looked at it today, but at the
Oh,
top right is a link that's good, and that is where you schedule a call. So any of the pages of my website, you can click at the top, schedule a free call. Generally weekends I'm free, and I do work on weekends, and then late afternoons in the East, I'm on the Eastern Standard Time is usually good, and that's on my website. So it funnels everything together.
yeah, no, that's great. So guys, it doesn't hurt anything. If you're sitting on some things where you're wondering, you're not sure, and you're thinking you might want to start this project of doing it, I would at least have the conversation with Liz before you start. And maybe you don't even start for 6 months, but you at least have the conversation now, and you're in touch with Liz. One more question, Liz, for you, and then if you want to add anything, we'll go a couple of minutes extra if there's anything you want to make sure they know. But wait, what was my question? So I have one more question for you. Now I can't remember what it was. Yeah, virtual. Let's talk about that, because you can physically, in the Charlotte area where you live in Davidson, you can go to people's homes and take the pictures. If somebody's on here now and they're listening and they're across the country, which we have many of you, how does that work? How does that work?
I've done it all the time. So it's photos,
Okay.
and photos of anything relevant. I mean, if you have a certificate of any type, include that in the photos. It's also a matter of shipping. I had to train another organizer in Texas how to ship her clients silver flatware to me to make sure it got safely. So it's a bit of a training, shipping valuables. It can be a little nerve-wracking the first time you do it. I had to ship $130,000 worth of coins to a dealer, and that really was nervous. I just saw the FedEx deliver, just while we were talking, he delivered the check for $130,000 for that, and I will be rushing to the bank and then paying my client their money. So, but I can train people how to ship things safely to me, or they can ship it directly to the auction houses I work with. What I do need my prospective clients to really think through is that pile of pennies. Do you really want to pay me to sort through it just to make a couple pennies per penny? So we really want to focus on the high value items. You want to maybe use some AI tools. I use ChatGPT. Personally, I use Google image search also to kind of get an idea of what an item is. Why do you think it has some value? Before reaching out to me, because it can be time consuming to go through them for me. And so if you can do a little bit of upfront work and have some idea of what you have, it can make a big difference. But again, my specialties are the fine jewelry and sterling and coins. Those areas I don't mind doing a little bit of upfront research, even for free. It's all the other categories where I really would like to know, why do you think this collection might be worth something? And again, the tools out there, eBay is free, Live Auctioneers is free. You just want to look at what things have sold for on there. EBTH is everything but the house. They are an auction house I use, and they have price results. EBTH.com is their website. It's a great resource. It's free. All these places may ask you for a credit card, but you don't have to give it. And do a little looking and seeing what things have actually sold for. EBTH is a little tricky because they don't want anything under 250. So they don't show price results under 250. So it's a little, figurines. I was selling some figurines, some Disney figurines, and I saw price results of 300, 250 to 500, thought, oh, these are worth a lot. And then they ended up selling for under 250. And I found out, that's when I found out that they don't show anything under 250. So it can be a little misleading, whereas eBay and Live Auctioneers do show all the price results. So, the tools are out there that you can, have confidence. You can start learning and triaging and figuring out what might have, and then come to me when you think you have something of value.
Yeah, I love that. I always use the example of a pizza, like you guys, ordering Domino's pizza. So you want a pizza and you order Domino's. Like, you could go to the store and you could buy the crust and you could buy the sauce and you could buy the pepperoni. So you could buy the vegetables and chop them up and put them. Then you're going to come home and put it all together and make your pizza. Or you can get one that's already done for you. So, and this is the case. I think it was very generous of you, Liz, to share. You shared your secrets, basically, of the places that, and so people can listen to this. Maybe go back and listen to this again and stop it and get the places she's talking about and do some of the things on your own. But I think having a conversation with you could save a lot of money and a lot of time down the road. So it doesn't hurt to have that call.
Well, my research tools are not a secret. It's what is sort of the secret is me determining where's the best venue and my access to I get concierge access to auction houses. If the general public tries to reach out to this auction house, you're not going to get much results. I have concierge access to all these different selling venues, and I know who is best. Or if I don't know, I ask an expert through the Keys Guild. I have lots of experts and that I can reach out to find out where to sell an item. So that's my secret sauce, is knowing where is the right place to sell
There
items.
we go. Now we're talking. So it is important to have that conversation with Liz. So make sure you take down davidsonorganizing.com, go in there and just, there's a contact as well, or there's a book of
At the top right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. So guys, and if y'all want me to have her back on here, we can have her back. We can do a part 2 of this if we didn't get to everything that you guys were asking. Is there anything else, Liz, you want to share that we didn't cover?
Do you have that last slide? It's a quote from,
it's right. I love that.
It's a book that I don't really love, the book, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning.
Yeah.
This quote is amazing. And I wish people understood that leaving things undecided is not neutral. It becomes work for someone else, often someone who's grieving, busy, overwhelmed, or unsure what of your items matter. So the kindest thing we can do is make these decisions while we're alive, identify what has value, document, what the meaning is behind items. Ask your heirs, potential heirs, what they want, and find these things out in advance, rather than it becoming a burden.
Let's read that quote.
A crisis.
Read the quote for people that might just be listening and not watching this.
The quote is, "Do not ever imagine that anyone will wish or be able to schedule time off to take care of what you didn't bother to take care of yourself. No matter how much they love you, don't leave this burden to them."
Yeah.
And again, this is for somebody who's aging, has lots of collections, and we don't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a gut check right there. That's a gut check. And that absolutely applies to your paperwork too, guys, to your paper pile. I'll say ours, because I get paper piles from time to time, but I have a system for them. So that applies across the board. You don't want your family members mired down in going through your paper and wondering. In fact, Barbara has a filing cabinet in her attic, I believe, and she has instructions in there to her family that she's chosen to save these items for now. But she has instructions to her family that say, when I die, you can get rid of these. You don't need to wade through these and wonder if you should keep them. You don't need to keep them. So I think that's a gift that you give to people. Eds, if you'll put, we have a workshop that you guys, we invite you to. It's called Store into Action. And it's kind of your first step to organizing your time, space, and information. So whether that's paper, whether that's email or digital things on your computer. So workshop.productiveenvironment.com is a great place to start with us. So go check that out. And also make sure you go to Liz's website and connect with her, because the comments I was seeing as we were coming in here, this is a hot topic, Liz. So I hope that they will reach out to you. You're a wealth of a resource for them. So thank you. Thank you. Awesome. All right, guys. So thanks for joining us. Please share this video. Who else do you know that needs to hear this? Who do you know that needs to hear this? Share this video with them, and share this video with them. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss we have some amazing guests and some amazing topics. So subscribe to the PEPTalk Productive Environment Podcast. And what was the other thing? Like the video. Make sure you like the video. Give the video a thumbs up if it added value to you. We appreciate that. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.